Alright folks, welcome to part one of this video series. I'm sure it's going to become a series, but as I try to figure out how to operate and restore this old Schulmerich Tyme Stryke. Carillon, that's what it is. So I just bought this for probably way too much money. I got the Carillon itself, and then a whole box of these tapes. And I got the cleaner for the head, the tape head, apparently some clock pins, a sponge, what else we got in here? With assorted screws. But I've got all these Fidelipack tapes. The guy actually got it playing. The first time I went to see it about a year ago, it didn't do anything. And then I just went today, about a year later, and he got it doing something right before I got there. And he got it to play the tapes, but the tapes sound all like slow and drawn out. It sounds terrible. So hopefully I can remedy that. But it sounds like it's just running slow, so hopefully that motor is just like gummed up and I can clean it up. But I bought this with the intentions of donating it to an organization I volunteer for their picnic grove. I've actually got, and you can see the video of it on my channel already, a digital version of this running out there in the picnic grove, and it works great. So I'm not real sure why I bought this now, but it's a cool gadget. It was delivered in 1973 to the McHenry Savings and Loan Bank in McHenry, Illinois. Installed by George Hellman in 1973. Supposedly this is the model that does the hour strike. Hopefully this is the model that does the hour strike. Does the hour Westminster strike, and then it has a tape player to play the music, which you see there. So, I've not heard the chimes work, the hour strike, the Westminster peal. I don't think it's a peal, I don't know what it's called. But those are supposedly, if I believe, or if I'm correct, they're up in this box here. So I can take this top plate off here, and I'm going to hopefully be able to see in there, and I didn't destroy them while I was moving it. I had to tip it on its side to get it home in the pickup truck. So I was kind of sketched out about that, but we will see. The amp is down there. He had the door open on it, the front face. Oh man, that's all. We'll figure that out. I don't know what the hell's going on there. Okay, but yeah, so this is, I literally just got it home and ate dinner, and now I came back down here to the garage to see what I can see. So I will update with a part 2 when I get it to do something. So we will check back in. But this is not a, oh, I guess this is a solid state thing, but it's got, oh, can't really see them. There's vacuum tubes in there. So this is an old school gadget. A lot of capacitors in there that are probably dried out and no good. So that'll be fun. Apparently, these are caps here too. So those are probably no good, but we will see. There's a preamp, another capacitor. Oh Lord. I don't know if I just bought a gigantic, overpriced tape player that plays only the case of worn out proprietary 8-track tapes that I've got there. But we'll see what we come up with. So I will update after, I think I'll open the top and see what we got in there, and then we'll check back in. So stay tuned for the saga of the Schulmerich Tyme Stryke Carillon restoration. I guess my ultimate goal is to get it restored and functioning so that I can put it into service. So we'll see. Okay, so next morning, I was up until like midnight last night fucking around with this thing and got some progress, which is good. So first off, I changed the bulb in the little lamp here. I got the door open so you can't see. But some moron had put in a chandelier bulb. My grandma used to have these in her chandelier in the kitchen. This is a C7. It's a nightlight bulb, a Christmas bulb. And if you know me, you know I have many of those. So that's fixed. So now I can see there's a little switch right here. Turn it on and off. The countdown timer, I'm not real sure how this is supposed to work for this power failure because it only counts up to 110 seconds that it's off. So I don't know if this is like the power in the building goes out or if you have the door open. I mean, what's the point for that small of a window? I'm hoping I can find an actual instruction manual for this. That would be great. The clock here is keeping time, so that's great. I set it to the proper time, and it continued to keep the proper time last night. I unplugged it overnight, but while I was working on it, I let it sit there and tick, 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 and it was working. So that's good. Behind this Schulmerich logo, you take this screw out, is the mixer for the amplifier. So you take this off, and you've got a pot for Flemish bells, harp bells, tape deck, and English bells. Flemish and harp were turned all the way off, which is a bummer because I was hoping that was what was in there. They sound a lot nicer. English bells is the only one that was turned up along with tape. Obviously, we have a tape. George Hellman was the field engineer for the area here. I looked him up. He is deceased. So that's a bummer. Can't call George. Let's see. Oh, I fixed the tape problem. So it was droning on and on. I wish I took a video of what it sounded like before. But what it was... let me see if I can get my drop light. What it was... So under here is the drive motor for the tape deck. There is a belt, a very tiny belt that I'm sure is on its way out, that goes from the motor to this large wheel. I'm sure there's a technical term for it, but that wheel is connected to the capstan up there, and that turns the tape when the pinch roller, which you can see in the hole, swings up and goes behind the magnetic tape, and that's what makes the tape go. So the problem was, and I don't know if we can see it in here. Okay, so back, there it is. So right there, you can't see, it's out of focus. There's a pulley on top of the motor. It will not focus. There's a tiny pulley on top of the motor shaft that the belt rides on, and then on the other end it rides on this big wheel. So the problem was that the belt had slipped off of that tiny pulley and was actually below it on the shaft for the motor. So it was spinning at an incorrect speed, a slower speed, because the pulley is bigger. And that, once I moved the belt back onto the pulley, tapes are running great. I also cleaned the head with, focus. I cleaned the playback head with rubbing alcohol, as I do with most tape decks, and that didn't really seem to make much of a difference. I did that before I got the tape running at proper speed, so it may have made a difference, but I didn't hear anything. It still sounded like shit at that time. The bottle of solvent that was here, and I showed you earlier, it's called like Magic, is actually a, it's like a plastic cleaner. So I assume it's for the door, the acrylic door here. Oh, it just did something. I don't know what that was. I just heard it click. So that's where we're at. The tubes, I have no idea about how vacuum tubes work. I think the amp turned on. I think that's what the click was. So these vacuum tubes, I don't see any glowing. There's 3 of them here. This 12AX7A and 12AT7 above each of them is the tube type. If you look it up online, it comes up with tubes. Sorry, I was just rudely interrupted. People asked who I was talking to. Yeah, so if you type in the 12AT17 and 12AT7, that comes up immediately with vacuum tubes, which are thankfully still available. There are more tubes. There's the 3 here. Oh, there's 2 of them here on this mixer. So this is the back of that volume knob there, where I said if you take the plate off, you've got the pots for the mixing. And the 2 cylinders, the one on the left and right, are tubes, and then the 2 in the center are caps. There's another capacitor back there, that little green thing. I'm assuming there's more shit inside, and I'm probably going to have to recap that if I want to reuse it. This is all RCA based, it appears. So I may be able to just replace the mixer. I've got all kinds of extra audio equipment, professional audio equipment, so I may be able to just replace this, but then I'd lose the functionality of the master volume and all that stuff, so it may be easier just to keep it original if I can get it to work. Other things that I noticed, that also has the tubes listed right on the chassis, so I'm able to look those up. One thing I noticed is that this is a very crispy relay here. Does not look good. However, it does still work. It does do some chattering, so it may be on its way out. I would assume it's on its way out if it looks like it was on fire. But it does work for the time being. So hopefully I've got that in the schematics and then I can find a replacement coil for it if I need it. The coder here, this has got the wiper arm that spins around and hits all those contacts. I cleaned them very briefly with a Q-tip and rubbing alcohol, and that took a lot of the carbon off of it. I can probably do a much better job shining those up, but I just wanted to see if that quick wipe down would make any difference in terms of getting things to happen. If I hold this relay down here, right there, it turns. So I have to find its home position is what I'm thinking, because it's probably got a spot where it lands when it's done completing a cycle. There's a little switch, come on, focus. See that little switch right there? There's a notch in the cam underneath on the back of the wiper arm, and there's a switch that falls into it when I believe it's done with its cycle. So I'm going to try to manually run that until it lands into that spot. I just have to figure out where that is, because it's hard to see back there. What else? Oh, I opened the top up, and there are my chimes. These are the 5 that play the hour strike. This doesn't look like it's in focus. Okay. Let me turn that off. Okay. So these are the 5 brass rods that play the hour strike. And these little things here are the pickups. If you touch them, you can hear it through the amp, and it does not sound like it likes it, so we're not going to do that. These are little rubber isolators here that keep it from shaking. However, this last guy is very dry and loose. So I hope that I can find something that I can replace those with. Because I'm sure that's not great. This thing down here, according to the schematics, is a heater. So naturally I touched it and almost burned myself, so that's great. Up here there is 3 relays. One of them says bells, one of them says tower, and then one of them says keyboard, clock, clock, keyboard, relay. So I'm not sure what that third one is supposed to be. But we've got the 2 switches here, one for bells and one for tower, and I think these relays allow the tower speakers to be activated, and then the other one must enable the, I don't know, it's not a very specific term, bells. I don't know if that just turns the entire system on, puts it into motion. The tapes, I can play one for you. So you put the cartridge in, then you pull this play lever down, and then I put it to manual. Things are happening. The motor should start. So this guy right here turns, and that makes contacts. Motor is turning for the tape. It is not playing the tape yet. I think it's warming up the amp. There it goes. So there's a little monitor speaker in the rack vent. Oh, also there is, let me turn this down. There is an interlock switch on this power control unit right here. It's this black button right there that hits the door frame when you close it, so that it disables all the components inside so you can't electrocute yourself. Or that nobody can tamper with it when the door is open. And then underneath this is a terminal strip where you've got the outputs for the tower and all that stuff. Inside tower 1, tower 2, and then there's a couple other terminals. I can't really read them, but I bet if I take that strip off I can see it. Oh, down here, so this lighted thing, this is a extension cord. There is a male receptacle on the bottom of this power control unit, and this is the main, or the original power cord for it right here. It's just an extension cord. It's dry rotted, so I figured, let me see if I can get it out. It looks like it's exactly what I just explained. So luckily it was. And then there's this retainer clip right here that would slip over the back of it to keep it from getting pulled out. I just have that loosened and turned. But I've got this piece of angle iron here jammed in between the frame of the rack and the interlock button, so that I can work on it with the door open. Down here is the amplifier. I don't know if I talked about that before. It is a 250 watt output amplifier, transistor amplifier. 250 watts, or 240 watts, that's a lot of power when you're talking about reentrant horns, which is what they used on these systems. 240 watts is a lot. You can cover an entire city with this bastard here. I think the highest wattage compression driver I've seen for a re-entrant horn is like 75 watts, unless you get into like real high-end stuff. So 75 watts. You can run a couple of those off of this bad boy here, and all it takes is an RCA input right here. So theoretically, I could probably replace this amplifier with a modern one if I wanted to. However, all the tubes are still upstream from it, so I'm not gonna be able to eliminate those really. So this thing is loaded with capacitors, I'm sure, so that'll have to get replaced. The caps will, if I want to rebuild it. So this is just an old school plate amp. You saw these a lot from Altec. There's a sticker over here that says like model 6-280, and then underneath there's another sticker that says Schulmerich Carillons. I bet you, I'd be willing to bet any money that those cover up the original manufacturer. It's probably like a Rowland Borg or a Duquesne or something that made amps for like school intercoms and stuff like that. And they all were essentially the same thing, big plate amps with a 70 volt output. So I'm betting, I don't know if I want to peel that sticker off and see what's behind it just so I can tell who made these amps for them. But Schulmerich, I doubt, made the amps themselves. They probably had someone else make them for them. There's a trumpet protect switch, which is a high pass filter. It looks like it's off, so it's running full range. So if I do set this up with horns, I'll probably loosen that screw that holds that switch down, and then put that to the on position, so it'll probably put like 100 hertz high pass filter over it. Oh, I lied. 240 watts is the power draw. There is the output. It's 125 watts. So it's not as big as I thought. However, there's plenty more spaces here, blanks in the rack here for more amps. So if you really wanted to light up an entire town, you could load this bastard up with big amps. And then most modern amps are like 2 spaces anyways, so you could, oh. I'm sure most people recognize this song. The Star Wars theme. So that's where I'm at right now. I cannot get the chimes up top to do anything yet. I think I probably have a few bad tubes because the volume is not real great coming out of it. The gain, I think I opened up the mixer and I turned the volume up all the way in the mixer for the tape just to get as much as I could out of it. I probably will have to rebuild that, the audio path. But that's where I'm at, so hopefully I can figure this out, or someone that knows much more about these can offer more advice. I'm missing the cap for this, which is bothering the hell out of me. These just unscrew, and some weasel took the red cap off of the overload indicator. So that's cool. It's got the Star Wars. The next one is The Entertainer, which is another popular song, which would explain why it's popular selections. But yeah, that's where I'm at with the Tyme Stryke, and hopefully I can get something, or get this thing back in business. Oh, there's also an indicator light out here, so I gotta replace that bulb.